Today, the family of the Colombian immigrant killed by an ICE officer in Maine is calling for criminal charges to be brought against that agent, the one who fired the fatal shots. 25-year-old Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero was shot multiple times inside his vehicle during an ICE operation in Biddeford, Maine last week. For the record, Johann Guerrero was legally authorized to work in the United States and had been issued a Social Security number. In an interview with MS Now's Laura Hafley, his family's attorney Ben Gideon said this about the investigation.
There's a lot of different moving parts. I would say the most important thing right now is that there be a full investigation into what happened and an honest and neutral investigation. It's being led by the Attorney General's office in the state of Maine, which didn't have any involvement. There were no state officers, police officers, or local municipal police officers involved in the shooting. So we're hopeful that that can be done objectively and get to the truth here of really what happened. I can tell you, though, I haven't seen a single shred of evidence that Johann Sebastian did anything that would have justified the federal officers shooting him in cold blood, driving on his way to work early in the morning on July 13th.
Their call for criminal charges comes as questions grow over who investigates when ICE or other federal immigration officers use deadly force. According to the new reporting in the New York Times, federal agents around the country were told in recent days that the FBI would no longer investigate confrontations with immigration agents. Under the change, responsibility for investigating cases involving federal immigration officers would likely fall to Homeland Security Investigations, an arm of ICE, effectively leaving the agency to investigate itself, according to guidance circulated among FBI and ICE agents. The Justice Department and DHS have both publicly denied that any policy change has been made. But if it were, it could mean less independent federal scrutiny of deadly encounters involving ICE agents. Even before this reported policy change, for months there had been questions about the independence of Kash Patel's FBI and how much oversight the FBI has actually provided. It has now been 6 months since American citizens Renee Good and Alex Preddy were killed by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty, who was leading the state investigation into those killings, says federal prosecutors only last week turned over evidence that had been withheld for months.
Through the cooperation of our federal partners, we have obtained the hard drives of previously withheld evidence in the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy and the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis. We have also obtained some of the physical evidence that was previously withheld, including Renee Good's car. I want to thank our federal partners for their willingness to consider changing course to share evidence and promote public trust. Obtaining this evidence has been a priority for us since January 7th. It has been rightfully demanded by our community for the past 6 months.
And joining us now is Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me to be with you.
You got it. I want to start by just asking you what your experience has been like working with the FBI before this reported change. When I was in your state after the shootings and I spoke with Governor Walz, he just seemed so incredibly frustrated by the lack of cooperation between the local officials and the state officials. And the federal officials, as well as with the state officials. You have said your office, received these hard drives. There was previously withheld evidence. Tell us about the state of the investigation, the cooperation as it stands today with the FBI.
I think in light of what you reported earlier about the directive apparently to the FBI, it's probably important to differentiate between our local federal law enforcement and the administration. Mm-hmm. From the beginning, when Renee Good was shot, we had an agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI and the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension to do a joint investigation. And then at some point, the administration put a stop to that. Right. Those conversations have never really stopped between local law enforcement because everybody here understands that's the way it should be. But as we saw through Julio Sosa Solis and certainly with Alex Preddy, we were not getting any evidence, nor was the BCA allowed to even enter the scene. So it was in the last 4 or 5 weeks that we...
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please.
In the last 4 or 5 weeks, we had conversations that started up again, and the local U.S. Attorney's Office and FBI all agreed to share their evidence, and I should say the BCA, and we also agreed to share our evidence on those 3 cases.
Your Bureau of Criminal Apprehension there. Is there anything that you've received that has changed your understanding of what happened in either the cases of Renee Good or Alex Preddy?
We got voluminous evidence here, terabytes of it, and so our teams are looking through it. To the extent that I've seen any of it, I've seen limited body cams, and those pretty much affirm what we saw in the other video. Mm-hmm. So we are going to take a long, hard look and be thorough here. And as you were quoting Mr. Gideon before, everybody here deserves a fair and impartial investigation and a transparent decision and the reason why that decision is being made. And so that's our goal.
Just to remind our audience, is it up to you specifically to decide to bring charges in the killings of these 2 Americans? And if I'm not mistaken, you have already charged 2 others involved in Operation Metro Surge, just not in the killings themselves, correct?
That's correct. We made a decision to charge Mr. Castro in shooting Julio Sosa Solis. He is currently in a Texas prison awaiting extradition. We charged Gregory Morgan in kind of a road rage incident here. We are waiting for the judge to schedule an evidentiary hearing on removal. So I think people can understand that there's the federal government and local government, and there's no double jeopardy. In other words, local government or our office can bring charges. The federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office can bring charges as well. So either one of us can bring charges. To this point, the U.S. Attorney's Office has not brought any charges or brought any indictments. We have on those 2 cases, and we continue to investigate the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.